Nazma. Today we have a very special guest among us. It is an honor to present to you our New York State Senator, Senator Tony Avella. Senator, would you like to do the honor and introduce yourself to us?
Well, it's been my honor and privilege to represent the people of Northeast Queens and Southeast Queens, part of Southeast Queens, for the past 5.5 years in the state Senate. Those are College Point, Whitestone, Bayside, Douglaston, Little Neck, Belrose, Floral Park, Glen Oaks, Hollis Hills, part of Jamaica, part of Briarwood. It's a big district in Queens. But even though that's my district, I take a serious responsibility of representing everybody in New York State.
Okay, as a senator, we would like to know about your mission vision for the South Asian community.
Well, I think there are a lot of issues that are very specific to the South Asian community in terms of culture, in terms of religion. And then there's also issues that relate to everybody about better education, quality of life, safety of their own community. And I've been working on all those issues, whether they're specific to the South Asian community or to everybody in general. I think one of the key aspects that I've been looking at is involving the South Asian community more in the political process. When you're in the system, you get more for your neighborhood, for your community.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I've been trying to do, and actually help members of the South Asian community run for political office. And I'm actually committed to that in the future.
Perfect. We know that you have been working on the holidays, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. Can you tell us more about it, and how soon can we expect New York State Public School to acknowledge these holidays?
Well, one of the things I was working on was co-sponsor of a bill to have New York City schools recognize those holidays. The mayor did some of that already. I also have a bill that would require CUNY, City University of New York, and SUNY, the State University of New York, to recognize those holidays. I think that's very important, and I think we're slowly moving ahead.
Yeah.
But the more I've now brought this up in the Senate for the past 3 years, as some of your listeners know, your viewers know, I was able to get a key piece of legislation passed this year about including the South Asian, the Muslim religion, the Sikh religion, the Hindu religions included in the state religious tax code. So that was a big step forward. So now we can start to move the other pieces of legislation. So I'm hoping in this session, or maybe the next one, that we can actually get this as a state law.
We hope as well. Thousands of Muslim students attend the public schools and universities in New York City alone. And now halal food, that is an issue. As a student myself, I had to skip meals because there were not enough halal food available. How can we expect for those halal food to be available so our kids, especially younger kids, do not skip meals?
That's one of the bills that I've been working on for the past 3 years. The bill was originally designed just for halal food. And then it was very interesting. I had a Jewish group call me and say, well, why are you singling out just one group? And I said to them, well, you have kosher food in the schools. And then they said to me, I was surprised to learn this, no, they don't have kosher food in the schools. They have a salad, which fits their dietary need, but it's not actually kosher. So I changed the bill to basically say that any school district with a population of a specific religious group that has dietary needs, the school system has to provide the proper food. So it now will not only include halal food, but also kosher food. So that actually will make it easier for me to get this bill passed.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Because then parents won't have to tell their kids, skip the meal.
They'll have the meal that they're allowed to eat under their religious, guidelines.
Absolutely. Now, it is required for New York City students in schools and in universities to attend a second language. Now, most of these South Asian students already have a second language, which is usually their native language. So, don't you think New York State, especially, should have a second language added to their curriculum, particularly in South Asian language.
Well, that's interesting. That is the first time somebody has brought that up to me, so I'm going to have to take a look at it, but I think it's an interesting issue.
It's something I struggled
yeah.
with, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to take Spanish,
Right.
French, and I was sitting there thinking, I already speak and write Bengali.
Right, yeah.
Why couldn't I do that?
Right.
So it would be amazing for these kids to have their language available, because they speak and most of them write in it already.
So I'll take a look at that issue.
That would
Very
be
interesting.
amazing. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is New York City. It's amazing. It is known as the melting pot. So when you see or hear incidents as hate crime, how do you react to that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I New York City, especially Queens, is the most diverse county in the entire country.
It is.
And one of the great things about the United States of America is we come from all different backgrounds, all different religions, all different nationalities, and we all work together. That's the fundamental principle of this country. And whenever there is an issue of bias, hatred, it should be condemned.
Absolutely.
And I stand certainly with the South Asian community. Whenever this happens, it's outrageous, and that's why we have what we call hate crimes, where if you attack somebody because of their religion or their nationality, that crime actually, the penalties are worse than if you just attack somebody for no reason.
Yes.
But we need to speak out whenever these things happen. It's simply wrong. And when I was growing up, there was a local candy store that I would go to. And the owner of the candy store had a little saying on the cash register, which I think it was, I forget one of the famous writers of the 17th or 16th century said. All that has to happen in this world for evil to succeed is for the good people to do nothing. Whenever there's an issue of hatred, it's incumbent on all the good people to stand up and condemn it.
Absolutely. No, I understand that you're saying that they should condemn it, but most of the time, young adults and elderly, they're the victims of these hate crimes. Well, how should they react to it, and what action should they take? Where can they find help?
Well, when anyone is a victim of a hate crime or discrimination, there are a number of avenues. For example, in the city of New York, there's the Commission on Human Rights, which they can file a complaint. If it's an act of violence, they should talk to the local police department. And I understand within certain cultures, talking to the police is not something that they've been would normally do in their own home country, because sometimes the government was the opposition. The government was the problem. If they ever find a situation like that, then they should reach out to some of their local elected officials. Call my office. We'll intercede with the police or the Division of Human Rights. There are ways to do it, but don't be afraid to speak out and reach out for help.
Absolutely. Now, there's no doubt that youths are the leaders of tomorrow. How can we encourage our youth to be more involved in the community, to be involved in take community leadership? What is your advice you have for our youths?
That is one of the most difficult questions that I faced throughout my political career, because if you go to a lot of the organizations in many communities, young people are not there.
Yes.
And it's pretty disconcerting, because of the fact, well, they're going to be the future leaders. What I do is I actually go out to schools and I talk to people and I talk to the students and I try and encourage them to be more involved. In the city of New York, we have the community board system. Anybody can go to a community board meeting, and you don't have to be appointed to the community board to go to committee meetings. They're open to the public. You can get involved, and there's an old expression in government that you can't fight City Hall, but you can negotiate with it. That's my take on the expression. Get involved, and you'd be surprised how you can influence what happens in your own community. One person can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Do you have any message for the community leaders to get the youths involved in the community leadership?
Well, I think, whether it's a religious organization, a cultural, fraternal organization, they have to bring their own children into the process. I mean, the parents are members, and sometimes they don't involve the children, but they have to. And they have to get them involved. And I think once they do that, when they see what influence they can have. And local organizations have to have activities that young people will come to. And I think that's crucial. And one of the things that I try to do is fund local organizations that can provide those activities.
So with your experience, what type of activities do you think, especially the South Asian community, what do you suggest to them?
Well, I think for young people who are mixing with other young people from different cultures, it's the same issue, providing recreational activities for them.
Right.
Making sure that there's some place to go, providing after-school programs in the schools. So they get to mix with people from all the different cultures within the city of New York, and especially in Queens. And, whether it's a basketball game, or it's tickets to a concert, or it's just activities like a chess club or something like that. I think that's very important. And that's one of the things that I've been very proud of in the last 2 years, is providing funds to almost every school in my district to have a special program for the students. And the beauty of this program is the students and the school determine what the program is.
Yes.
So sometimes it's a sports program, sometimes it's a chess program, sometimes it's taking the students to go, if it's in elementary school, to the next high school so they see what it's like. If they're in high school, to go to a college to see what it's like. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of the principals, that the students are raving about this program.
They're doing it
because they decide what they want to do.
No, yeah, it is true that in Queens, a lot of after schools are provided these days. But what about the students who goes to private schools? These public schools, they're available to the students who go to public schools. But there are many other students, thousands of other students, who do not attend public schools.
It's a very tough issue because based upon the United States Constitution, there's a separation between church and government, and schools. What we're trying to do in the Senate, and I'm a co-sponsor of this, is the education tax credit program. Because right now I'm prohibited from giving taxpayer dollars to private schools. There is a certain mechanism for instruction and books, but it really is limited for private schools as opposed to what the public school system gets. But what we're trying to pass, and the governor supports, is coming up with new legislation that would allow people to donate to those private schools and public schools and be able to take that donation off their taxes. So this would allow the private schools to get more money to do more for their students. I'm a co-sponsor of the bill. I voted for it in the Senate the past couple of years. The governor supports it. Unfortunately, the New York State Assembly is totally against it, and we have been unable to pass it. But we're going to try and do it again this year.
I see. So as a leader yourself, what is your future plan in years ahead?
Right now, I'm going to be running for re-election for the state senate this year.
Wonderful.
And we'll see, thereafter. I have one rule that I follow in government, and as an elected official, is to do the most good for the most number of people.
Absolutely.
However I do that.
Do you have any special message for our viewers?
My staff is ready and willing and able to help you. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the program. But for anybody who's listening to this show, please know that I'm available to help. You can always call my district office, 718-357-3094. And whether it's an immigration issue or it's fix the pothole in front of my house, whatever issue you may have, please feel free to call me. I'm here to help. And thank you again for having me on this program.
Senator, thank you for our community. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much.